So now time for the demo of Heex Copilot in action. So we'll first have a quick overview of the Heex UI without going into detail because that's not the focus of this webinar. So the first view is a dashboard view where you have an overview of your Heex configuration. So first I see my systems, i.e. my robots. I've got 3. In this one I've got 18 kind of data I can monitor and record. Then I've got 5 data capture scenarios we call triggers, some implementation binaries. I get an overview of the data I collected so far. So in average I collected 46 events without recordings, it looks like, and I can see where that data comes from. So over the last 7 days, that robot QC Inspector 01 generated 22 events and those two 12. And I can have a look by data capture scenario. Once again, the triggers, most of them come from that QC high defect rate. So the context of the demo is a robotic factory floor somewhere in Germany that do some PCB assembly and quality checks. And people want to monitor and do some preventive maintenance and detect issues with full context to resolve them quickly and hopefully early. So the second view is analytics. So here it dives into the data I collected. So I can see I collected 130 events. I can see the date range of those events. So that's between mid-November and early December. I can filter per system. So for instance, I can check only these ones, for instance, if I wanted to. So I can see other ones I've got just high events. I can filter by the data capture scenarios, by the priority, and we support labels. So you can label any way you want, and you can filter, you can organize, and here you can see the critical events, which ones are there, can dive into, etc. Same for high, medium, low. So here this calendar view, how those events stack over time. Obviously the red ones are the most important, and I can see, and the orange ones, etc. And I can see where they are on the map. So it looks like being a fictitious company nearby Stuttgart that generated those events. Obviously I can look at the data itself, so I can click, dive in, see the recordings, etc., etc. In that view I can see my systems, so my 3 robots, one which is welding, the other one which is doing pick and place, and the other one which is the quality check inspector. The kind of data I can monitor and record. My data capture scenarios, so I've got 5. And some of implementation I need to deploy. If you look over there, we've got Heex Copilot. We get it there in my versions. You have some alerts. So you can set up custom rules to be alerted on what you want to be alerted on. The events, the system change, whatever. And you can be notified in application. You can see I've got 2 now. Or you can be notified on Slack or email. And then all the list of workspaces you have access to, your account settings, etc., etc. So first we're going to have a look into Copilot, and I'm going to ask it a very basic questions such as who are you and how can you help? So it explains that it can answer non-technical questions such as how does Copilot work, how Heex works, how it compares to other solutions, how it's different. It can read from our public documentation on your behalf, so that can be very helpful, and it can help you configure Heex, declare your configurations, your robots, your data capture scenarios and so on, and analyze the data you collect. But for that demo, I want to show you another use case, which is a multi-tool use case, such as you want an AI-driven workflow between Heex and other software. So for that, I'm going to go into Cloud. I'm going to add a connector. I'm going to have another connector. I'm going to call let's call it Heex Copilot Webinar Demo. Then I'm going to give it a URL. There we go. And I'm going to add. And here we can see it's now there. I can connect now. So it's telling me that the Cloud AI we're in wants to access the Heex environment via Heex Copilot. So I'm going to say, yeah, fine, I just did it. Let's Cloud access it. So now the second step, I'm going to declare a new project. I'm going to call it again Heex Copilot Webinar. And in that project, I'm going to give it some knowledge. It's not mandatory, but it helps a big time. So here it's just a markdown file. We can give it to you that explains the tools, the context, to make it more intelligent. So let's test it now. Let's try the first question. With very generic questions, not testing its technical capabilities, but just as a helper. Remember, it can read the public doc. So he detected that it needs more context about the business value, so it's requested the backend for some business knowledge, let's say, and that spits out its answer, hopefully replying our question. So first, for him, the 4 key difference is about the agents. You can deploy at the edge in the robots live to monitor and capture data live, or on servers where many customers use it to sieve through replays and extract meaningful information and or set up their data capture scenarios we call triggers. The second one obviously is himself, Copilot. So you can have chats, you can configure, you can analyze. The third one he mentions is over-the-air updates. So the idea is we can update both the agents themselves, the binaries, if need be, new versions, etc. And most of the time it's mostly about updating the data capture scenarios. Once again, we call triggers. The last point he mentions is about the multimodal capabilities, meaning that within a single system we can mix and match stuff from video feeds, LiDAR, you name it, down to engine RPMs, battery values and stuff like that, and also include recordings from external systems such as external camera for a crash, for instance, if you want to have an overview of the context from an outside view of the equipment itself. So the example it gives is if I've got a navigation issue and my CPU is above 90%, just capture some information and we can query all these and capture all that. So now we're going to start with the demo itself. So remember, I've got a workspace called Erwan where I've set up stuff. Now we're going to have it have a look over there to see what it sees. Oh, it's in thinking mode, that's why it's a bit slow. It should go faster for the next ones. So it's going to it's found the workspace, it's going to the workspace. It should be looking into the workspace to see what's in there. So now it gives us a summary. We have 3 systems, which is true. If I look at the systems, we have 3 indeed. We've got 5 triggers, the data capture scenarios. Let me check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks fine to me. And it says we had 46 events over the past 13 days, roughly 9 a day. And 1 problematic system, QC Inspector 01, that generated 48% of the events. Okay, so let's have a closer look at those events and what we can learn from them. So it's looking at when these events occurred, the first one and the last one, looking at some statistics, looking at the robots. We've got 130 events, do we? Indeed we do. Okay, quite a lot. Okay, so it looked at the events, identified the probable root cause. and said those defects were detected late. So he suggests other data capture scenarios to detect the problems earlier before it's kind of too late in the quality check station. So some predictive maintenance, cycle time anomaly, some production quality, weld quality score. Okay. And the third one is about resource optimization, gas flow efficiency. Okay, why not? Now, I don't want to create those triggers. I want to discuss that with colleagues, and that the power of our approach is you can once again use Heex Copilot in an AI-driven workflows across multiple tools. So as a basic demo, I'm going to say, yeah, just upload the report for now Notion so I can share with colleagues, and we can discuss what to do about it, whether it makes sense or not, or should we do something else. So it's searching Notion. For that page I named webinar report page. Hopefully we'll find it soon. Okay, done. Fetching the page. Hopefully updating the page, and then we can have a quick look at the report he's suggested. It's been a bit long, now it's updating the page. Okay, it was pretty long with Notion, not sure what happened. So he did a report on the webinar report page. So yes, I want to see it. And so the day it was generated, the dates, an executive summary, what we were tracking, a quick overview of the event analysis, what happened and why it happened, section about the root cause he believed he identified, some Heex configuration change to capture more meaningful information early in the cycle to prevent such issues in the future, and some action plan to act on. Interesting. So now we looked at how we can analyze something already in place and improve it if need be. Now we're going to do something quite different. We're going to go to an empty workspace. So let me check. As you can see, it's completely empty. I called it Webinar 2. So it's switching over there. It should check. There I want to set up a brand new monitoring approach for new equipment, which is an automated forklift. So I briefly describe what I know about the forklift. I know it knows about its position, its engine RPM temperature, battery charge and temperature, obviously, whether there are some obstacles and distance to collision. And basically what I'm interested in when the battery temperature is above 60 degrees, I want an alert that returns its position and current battery charge. So now it's setting up the workspace for us, and we'll see what it comes up with. So as you can see, pretty simple, non-technical, straightforward description. And we will see how smart he is. So it's already created the triggers, the data capture scenarios. He's creating my system, which is the automated forklift. And now it tells me it's done. So it created a forklift, it picked a Toyota TY something, why not? It's not deployed yet. He created some signals we can monitor and record. He configured some triggers with the conditions. And he says it's all done, so let us check. I go there, I hit refresh. I can say I didn't have one systems, I've got some data I can record and track. I've got one scenario. So the system is indeed forklift AGV01. If I have a look at the description, yeah. Then if I have a look at my scenario, I can see he named it battery overheat alert. I can change that anytime. He explains what it's all about. Now I can see my conditions. If my battery temperature is above 60, which is what I asked, I want to know the battery charge, the temperature, and the position. Oh, looks fine to me. Oh, gosh, I forgot something that could be of interest. That forklift sometimes has issues, and in my warehouse I have a video system that records different areas. So I'm just asking him, well, you know what, we've got some cameras. When you're about to have a collision, just give me the few seconds of footage from those cameras that could be of interest to understand what's happening. So here it's querying the backend to learn more about camera surveillance systems and sending out the workspace, and we'll see what he comes up with. So it looks like he did some oopsies, discovered his errors, fixed them, and now claims he's done. So let's see what he did. So do two sources of data, the forklift itself and the warehouse, two triggers, the original one about the battery overheat, and now about the collision risk. Interesting. So let's see, I update. I can see I've got my new collision risk detection. So when I detect an obstacle and I'm less than 2 meters away, then I record the battery charge, the distance to collision over time for 40 seconds, the engine RPM position, stuff like that, and then the 3 video feeds. So now I can look, if I want to, 40 seconds of video from 3 cameras instead of browsing through a long set.